Hello, this is a video about Photoshop Elements 14, its user interface and help facilities. I'm going to load an image from Faststone Image Viewer into Elements. So I'll start Elements up and it asks whether we want to use the editor, the organizer or the video editor. I'm just simply going to use the editor. If you do want to use the organizer, you have to tell it to import folders of images, and then you can look after them from within organizer. But I'm just going to use the Windows file system and use the photo editor. So Elements is starting up and it does take a little time to sort itself out. I'll just turn off the define addition that I've added to Elements. So now I can drag this, it's a raw file, into Elements, and what will happen is that Adobe Camera Raw will start up and I can do anything I want to it. To begin with, I'll pull the highlights down and then say open image, and we've got the image then in Elements. There are three interfaces: quick, guided and expert. With the quick one you get a few tools down the side. For example, you can crop, you can straighten the image, you can add text to it, you can whiten teeth and get rid of red eye. Over on the right we've got a small number of options. So for example, if we look at lighting, if I click on that, we can now affect the shadows, the midtones or the highlights, and we're given a set of presets that we can see what the effect of them is by simply moving the cursor over one of them. And if we want to use that one, we can just click on it. And so you've got a limited number of areas that you can alter, but it makes it quite easy to use them. The guided mode has a list of subject areas. There are some tabs at the top: basics, color, black and white, fun edits, special edits and photo merge. We'll just look at a couple of these. Under basics, for example, you can lighten and darken, and here we've got shadows, highlights and midtones again. If I go back from this and now look at levels, and by the way, I can slide the cursor across these pictures and it gives you an indication of the sort of changes that you might make. This is before applying levels and this is afterwards. Whoops, I accidentally clicked it, but that's fine. Now what we get over here on the right is some instructions, some help as to how levels works, what it does. Then when we've read that, we can click on the Create Levels Adjustment, and now I've imported a raw image which is 16-bit, and Elements won't do quite a lot of other things as well, but it won't do levels on a 16-bit image, so I have to convert it to 8-bit. And Elements takes this opportunity to tell me, well, you can do it in 16 bits if you were in Photoshop, you know. So let's ignore that and convert it to 8-bit. We've got to give it a name, doesn't matter what. And here I've got levels, and I can now start doing the things with this that I've read about in the instructions. So again, you've got a slightly wider range of things that you can do than with quick. And for example, if we look at photo merge, we can extract an object from one photo and compose it into another. You can add several exposures together so that you can deal with higher dynamic range. You can do things with faces, with groups of people. You can, I think, have multiple shots and then you choose the person who's smiling from each. You can use multiple shots to, if you've got a scene where there's stuff moving around in it, if you take multiple shots, you can arrange it so that you only have the static parts of the scene, and you can do panoramas as well. So guided gives you a range of things and does help you work on them. The third mode is expert mode, and here it's more like using, well, I don't know what the modern versions of Photoshop are like, but certainly the old version of Photoshop that I've got, CS2, you use mostly you use the menus at the top. There are tools down the left hand side, and there are more of them than we saw in the quick mode, but a lot of it has to do with going up to the menus and saying, well, I want to sharpen it, and then you get sliders of various sorts, and obviously you need to know more about what's going on in order to use this mode. In terms of the help, you've got a couple of things. One is this eLive, which is Elements Live. So if I click on that, it now takes us across to the browser, and we've got various things that we can dip into if we want. And one of them, for example, is tips on better focused photographs, and 6 tips for night photography and so on. So it's a bit of a dip in and see if you can find something that interests you. Here's one, Getting Started Guide for Photoshop Elements 14. And if we click on that one, we go to something from Adobe, which is telling us about various aspects of using Elements, and we can click on through to get more detail. Going back to Elements, if we look at, let's go back into expert mode, let's say, and suppose we're dealing with a color cast, for example, and we can't remember how to deal with color cast. So if I go to help, and we've got various options here. There's Photoshop Elements Help, Getting Started, Key Concepts, Support, not quite sure what that one is, Video Tutorials. There are a lot of videos about Elements from Adobe, and loads more on YouTube, and the forums as well, where you can ask questions. So if I go to the help, I'll then be able to search it. There's various thematic areas of help here, like enhancing your photos. Let's go into that, and then you get things like processing camera raw image files, resizing your photos, etc. But if I want to search, and I searched for, if I can get at my keyboard, color cast, and we've now got various options: fixing color casts in Photoshop Elements, and we've got do it automatically, use levels, use curves. So there's detailed instructions here as to how to do it. So there is a lot of help available. So that's it. All I want to say at the moment about PSE 14, you've got 3 modes: quick, guided, expert. You've got some stuff in this Elements Live, and a more possibly more helpful help with things like the forum videos and the help itself, which you can search to find what you want. So that's all for now. Goodbye.